Hi everybody, this is Angie from Tourangie.com. We just left Union, West Virginia. That was the past video. Talked a lot about Union, but there's still so much more to talk about. I'm going to continue talking about Union, even though we're out of Union. But what is interesting on this video, well, besides my historical talk, is at the end of the video, my camera flops down because I hit my brakes. And you'll get to see why I had to hit my brakes. We were pulled to we had to stop on 219, a line of cars, and I have an interesting story to tell there too. You can see a helicopter. There was a wreck, a medical emergency ahead of me, and I have an interesting story. I think that somebody was looking out for me that day. But we're going to talk a little bit more about Union history, and then we'll get into that. So stay tuned. The Alexander Farm was focus of the original settlement in the town of Union. James Alexander was a Revolutionary War soldier that settled here in 1774, and his first house was burned by the Indians the year of the Dunmore War. The second was built and on what would now become known as Main Street, and then it's been lost. But then the third, which is Old Hundred, was built low down on the western slope of Green Hill, but it's now gone too. The reconstructed Fletcher Ellis House is built on the site of the original, and it was here that the first court proceedings were conducted before the first courthouse was built. And the first Presbyterian church services were held there also until they could be held in their own facilities. The Bronside, Eskern, Eskin, sorry about that, Clark, and Dunlap families soon joined James Alexander in the years following 1774. James Alexander sold land to the Erskine family. That was the nucleus of Walnut Grove. Descendants of the Erskine family still farm the land, which in 1976 became a bicentennial farm. Michael Erskine built several mills in or near the present district in the late to 18th century when Monroe County was formed from Greenbrier in 1799. The new court settled upon the Alexander Farm as the place for the county buildings. It being in the middle of the prosperous and thriving farming community, James Alexander responded by giving the court 1 acre of land and laid out a town of 25 acres in quarter-acre lots. The trustees of the new town of August 1799 resolved that the site of the buildings on each lot must be 1 square log house of the same site of 16 by 18 feet out to out, 2 stories of common height with roof shingles and chimneys of brick or stone, and the floor finished in the inside like a workmanlike manner. The Clark House, the Henry Francis House, and the Henry Stover House are examples of that. So, like I said in the past video, Union gets its name of the union of militia units that gathered in Royal Oak Field. So, I guess it's the militia units back before the Civil War were still called the Union. So that makes sense now. I've always wondered why Union was called Union before the Civil War, since it was supposedly named after the Union soldiers, but it was the Union soldiers before the Civil War. You never really think about it like that. You automatically think of Union soldiers. You automatically go back to the Civil War with Confederacy against the Union. But before that, the soldiers of America were called the Union soldiers. So now that makes more sense why Union is called Union. each spring and fall for a muster. These musters occurred each year during the last decade of the 18th century up to and through the Civil War. In 1800, Union was chartered by the Virginia Assembly. We've talked about that before. So if you want to learn more about uh, the Charter of Virginia and all that, look back to my old video. So some of the people that were from Union, there's a Thomas Stack. Uh, he was actually an artilleryman in the Confederacy during the Civil War, but he ended up being a president of Boston College, so that's pretty interesting. There's a Matthew Clare. He was the first African American bishops in the Methodist Episcopal Church, so that's cool. Augustus Chapman was a Virginia congressman and lawyer, and he was a brigadier general for the Confederacy in the Civil War. And then Allen T. Caperton was a Confederate States and U.S. Senator. So the name Caperton is obviously common in this area, common for West Virginia too. Like I said, there was the Caperton Law Office back in the day there in Union. It's not there now, but the building's still there. But I'm sure there's obviously Caperton has to be related to Caperton somewhere down the line. West Virginia had a governor named Caperton. Gaston Caperton. He was actually born in Charleston, West Virginia, so that's mid-state basically, not down here in the southern part of West Virginia, but there could be some relation. Anyway, Gaston Caperton was governor from I think 1989 to 1997, somewhere around there. But Caperton name is common in West Virginia. I was just mentioning that because of the Caperton name. Now for the outdoor enthusiasts. Moncove Lake State Park is near Union. It's actually in Gap Mills. If you would have taken a right back there in Union on the road off of 219, you would get to it. It's a 250-acre park, but a 500-acre wildlife management area, and of course, Moncove Lake. There's camping facilities, fishing, boating, swimming, bird watching, typical things. But it's really cool because of its proximity to Peters Mountain. And honestly, you're so close to Virginia, you could almost spit on it. Like, it's so close to the Virginia line, so I think that's pretty neat. But the park offers seasonal rowboat, kayak, paddle boat rentals, great fishing. So it was opened in 1960s in the well, actually not the 1960s, in 1960, following the damming of Devil Creek in Monroe County. And the name was created from Mon, the first three letters of the county, for Monroe. I thought that was pretty neat. And Cove, referring to a small valley. The lake was built as part of Monco Lake hunting and fishing area, purchased in 1958 by what is now the Division of Natural Resources. So it is a great wildlife management area. So Gap Mills, and you get to it basically by going through, well, from this section anyway, going through Union and taking a right. So I figured I would go on and mention that now because we've already passed it. In fact, it was the last video where you would have taken the right, but I had to go on and mention it because, I'm all about travel and seeing places, and that is a great little state park. So we're getting closer to the end of this video where things kind of fall apart for me. You will see this video collapse into the dashboard because I had to hit my brakes so hard. And then you're going to see three little short videos of why we had to hit our brakes so hard. There's a line of traffic. And I don't know, it gave me chills when it happened because it's a medical emergency. It's been a car wreck. That's the reason why. But you also can, in my mind, I'm thinking, my gosh, that could have been me up there if it was the car wreck. Because earlier in this drive, I had to stop before I got to Union because I had an issue with my camera. I had to go refix my camera, turn back around, and start my Union video all over again. So I feel like that maybe somebody was watching out for me. Something was watching out for me. I don't know. Maybe it just wasn't my time. But maybe I would have been in a wreck if I had not stopped. I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't have happened. I don't know. But it honestly, when we hit our brakes and we seen what had happened up ahead, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, there's just a few cars. Like, could this be me? Could it have been me if I didn't have any camera issues and had just kept on driving through Union? Because these pictures that I took, I didn't take, stopping during that drive. I just edited them in because the drive back I stopped and took more pictures. Um, but you're going to see just like in a minute or two, I'm going to hit my brakes and my camera falls over. So then you'll see three little videos of the helicopter, the best that I could do filming the helicopter landing and obviously taking something from the medical emergency. You can see an ambulance flashing its lights down there and different things. And we set probably like 25, 30 minutes waiting. But I tell you, it brought chills to my arm thinking, would it have been me in that wreck if I did not have video difficulty before I went into Union and have to stop and turn around, fix my camera, and start again? Because it seems like that extra 20 minutes it could have been. I mean, you think about it, it takes a few minutes for a helicopter to fly in from somewhere. Um, and here it is. See, you can see I hit my brakes and my camera just messed up. No, it just gave me chills. And I want to give I don't know what the injury was, what happened, or why the person had to be airlifted out. Obviously, it was quicker to airlift from here than to obviously get an ambulance here to take the person to a hospital. I'm figuring it's the hospital in Lewisburg, but I'm zooming in on my camera. You can see the helicopter there waiting to find a spot to land. And, we're just all standing here just kind of watching. I've never seen anything like this before. And like I said, I had chills. So I hope the person is okay. I hope everything worked out fine. And I thought I would share, uh, what had happened with me with, I don't know, with this story because it was neat to see the helicopter and all and felt horrible about the situation that happened where there was a helicopter needed for a medical emergency, obviously, or something with some sort of wreck. But what it just gave me chills that would I have been involved in this wreck if I hadn't stopped because I felt like something was watching out for me that day. So anyway, hope everybody's okay. And you got to see at least a helicopter and learn about some Union history. And the next video will be continuing on Route 219 north towards Ronceverte, Fairleigh, Lewisburg. Talk to you all later.